Very good. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see such a diverse group from all different countries across the Americas. My name is Lisa Shala, and I'm the head of Connecting Communities in the Americas. This is an initiative of community foundations across countries. Our goal is to inspire you and strengthen you to work together and share strategies and resources across countries so that our local impact is growing and is becoming stronger. This is a program called in English, Learning Exchanges between community foundations. In Spanish, we say intercambios institucionales. And the idea here is to provide you with the opportunity to be able to visit each other. We believe it's very, very important and very valuable to have this direct content or a direct connection between community foundations and to build relationships, personal relationships with people from other foundations. So we're so excited that we have funding for this right now. And this year we've been able to partner with Comunalia in Mexico, is the network of community foundations in Mexico, and Aegis in Brazil is the head of Transforming Territories, Transformando Territorios, who also work with community foundations. So we've kind of pooled funds together so that we can support travel for more foundations. What I'd like to do today is give you some background information with a presentation, and then we'll open for questions. And we might go into small groups as well by language to give you a chance to meet each other and talk as well. So welcome here. Kleber, welcome. Corinne, welcome. If you could put the name of your organization.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, of course. Organization and country in the chat, please. That would be helpful for everyone to see. Learning Exchanges 2024, 2025. Again, with all of these different organizations. Connecting Communities in the Americas is an initiative. We are not a formal organization. We are an informal initiative, but we are housed in CFLeads, which is a network of community foundations in the United States, for the United States, but they love to have an international branch to this. So we work closely together. So for these learning exchanges, who is this for? This is for you and your teams as community foundations. Any community foundation across the Americas is eligible to apply. And we do understand that there is not one definition of community foundation. And so what we are looking for is, do you work within a region or territory? Do you support nonprofits, smaller organizations in your territory or in your region? And do you have diverse funding for your organization? I think those are the 3 points that are most important for us. But beyond that, what your model is can really vary from country to country and region to region. Here you see 2 pictures from the learning exchanges last year. The one on the left is, in the middle, you see Gianni from Instituto Baixada in northern Brazil. And then Jonathan and Luis from Fundación Comunitaria Oaxaca in Mexico. They did an exchange Jonathan and Luis went to Brazil to visit Instituto Baixada. And I can't remember actually if Baixada was able to get to Mexico. There were some visa issues there. But as you can see, they got their youth program and their staff, their team, very involved in this exchange. They also did a podcast together, and they each aired the podcast in their respective countries. So that was a really neat thing to incorporate into their normal communication systems. On the right, these are West Central Initiative from the United States, the state of Minnesota, which is where I am also. This is in the central north part of the United States, and they have a border to Canada. And so they visited a Canadian community foundation, the Winnipeg Foundation. And they were talking a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals, how they're using them for strategic planning and communications. They talked about working with their Indigenous groups. They talked about economic development in both of their regions and territories, and what role the foundation is playing with them. It's really important for connecting communities in the Americas that this exchange is reciprocal. It's not just one foundation interested in visiting another one, but that both foundations view it as a learning opportunity between them. So really sitting down ahead of time, writing the application together, talking about what the common objectives are, like what programs do you have that we could learn from? What do we have that you could learn from? Maybe both of us work with youth and we are really trying to improve our programs. So let's see each other's programs and talk about how we can improve it. You might find a common objective with governance. Where both foundations are learning how to strengthen our governance models. And so we'll share this information and learn from each other. So we don't see this as just a general visit. We really want you to work on some specific objectives, learning objectives between the two foundations. In the picture here, you see the learning exchange between Fondo Comunitario Monteverde in Costa Rica and Fundación Punta de Mita in Mexico. They were able to visit each other. And here you see they have sessions, you know, walking through this is how we do things in our foundation and sharing information on that. With this exchange, they were very, very active months before the visit, getting their staff members together on Zoom. So the communications people were talking to each other, the administrators were talking to each other, the directors were talking to each other. So they really took advantage of the opportunity to be in a lot of contact before, during, and after the learning exchange. And we love that. We really think that this program has so much potential to strengthen your institutions generally. It's not meant for one person to visit. Just to let you know, I'm not looking at the chat right now, but I will go ahead and look at any questions or comments in the chat if you write them. And I invite you to write in the chat in your language. I will either understand what it is or we'll help each other out if you have questions. And later for questions as well, we invite you to use your own languages. So what are some of the things that we look for at Connecting Communities in the Americas? The decision, the selection process will be done by a committee that we've invited of former grantees for this learning exchange. And we'll present this to them as well. And with the committee, they are agreeing on what the different rating system should be. But it is important for us that we get, that we support exchanges that involve several different countries. We want that to happen. We prioritize cross-country partners. However, we understand that in some situations, travel is so expensive right now. So, you know, for the $400 or $4,000 that we're able to give, we understand, first of all, that it probably won't cover the entire learning process. It's meant to support you. And that it might be difficult even to get out of the country. The funds that we're able to give should support for travel, meeting expenses, things like that. But we can't help you with visa requirements or costs with visas, for example. We're hoping that the projects have a longer term vision. So not just a one-time visit, but really thinking about what could a longer term relationship look like? Is this a relationship that is valuable across time for you? We are hoping that you will get staff, your team, involved, whether or not they can travel. The reality is probably everybody won't be able to travel, but how can you get the team involved in other ways? We also want you to participate in other CCA programs. We have a very good monthly online program on different topics. All of you, if you're not on our mailing list already, we'll put you on today so that you receive information on it. So we have online opportunities. We have a few in-person opportunities. We have some travel support for those as well. So we really want you to become a participant in CCA in other ways as well. And finally, what I mentioned already about this specific, really finding specific learning objectives. Here you see a picture on the island of St. Croix in the Caribbean. This is the St. Croix Foundation for Community Development. And they had an exchange actually with two foundations, the Foundation for Appalachia, Kentucky in the United States, and the Black Belt Community Foundation in the United States. And so the mainland foundations went to St. Croix and they planned their exchange during a larger symposium that they had, so that the information and exchange of ideas and strategies that they talked about were a benefit for a broader audience while they were there. This is a picture of Instituto Casimba, I believe, and where they're working in Sao Paulo or outside of Sao Paulo. And they did their exchange with Taboa in Serra Grande in the Bahia of Brazil. If you are looking for a partner, you can fill in your information on this sheet. Do you see this?
Yes, we see it, but where do we see this? You're going to send us
Thank you. This link is already in the convocatoria. It's in the call for projects that you receive by email. So the idea of this is that you can list your information on this sheet. And if you'd like to contact another foundation on the sheet, then you can do that. It's as a help to you. It's also why we invite you to be involved with CCA more regularly each month so that you're getting to know community foundations across the region on a regular basis and can start building relationships during the year so that when we have opportunities like this, you already have an idea of maybe who you would like to partner with. But we're really leaving this up to you. You need to have an idea of what do you have to share? Who would you like to learn about more? The partnerships could be within countries of South America. It can be between regions, whatever is really more meaningful for you. So I'm going to read off a couple questions that are on the chat. Ursula, Como Una Nación is a support organization from Peru. We have community foundations that are working to be legally constituted. In that case, can they apply? It depends on if they've, well, let me say this, have them send an application. We invite all applications, even if not legally constituted yet. We would like to see that intent of interest, and then we'll probably contact you, Ursula, if they're from Peru, just to get some of the context around that foundation. Like, is it a community foundation that is starting from zero, or is it a longer-term organization who is transforming into a community foundation? But I would say, yes, go ahead and have them register. And we'd love to just read their application, and then the committee will decide whether or not they would like to choose that as one of our exchanges. How do we get to know the organizations to make a match? So this is with the Excel sheet. You can work with that process. Think about who you've been on other calls with throughout the last year or so with connecting communities in the Americas. We are really encouraging you to take the initiative to search, look out there. At the end of this call, I will send you all an email, and you will be able to see the emails of each other. You could contact each other, but you need to take the initiative to contact people. For now, it might be a foundation that you've met recently or heard about recently, and that's just fine. How many foundations can apply? This is from Ursula as well. We have the funding, we believe, for about 8 or 9 projects. So this is funding from Connecting Communities in the Americas. Comunalia is contributing some for Mexico, and Aegis is contributing some money for Brazil. So we're hoping 8 to 9 projects, and the $4,000 is for the project. It's between 2 organizations. Other questions? This is from Claudia Villa. For the initial conversations and during the exchange, can there be support for translations, or should the foundation or interpretation, or should the foundation resolve this? If you would like to use some of the $4,000 for interpretation or translation services, you can do that, as long as yeah, you can do that. I'm thinking about receipts. But probably in most cases, we will send you the money ahead of time, so you can use that as you wish. So if translation services are part of your project, you can use that. But we don't have additional funds for that. Google Translate is a wonderful thing. We used it a lot in Brazil, and there are other translation apps. You can be a little bit adventurous and do that. I encourage you to do that. Any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat. Karine, please.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for this initiative. Also, I wanted to know regarding the counterparts, how does it work? Because we are able to receive some funds, but the community foundation, let's say we are in Mexico, so we can receive some from Comunalia, but is there, like, I mean, how much we need to put, like the community foundation need to put, please?
Yes. Okay, so how many of you work with the Inter-American Foundation? Raise your hand if your organization works with them. Okay, so the Inter-American Foundation supports civil society in Latin America. They're funded by the United States Congress. And one of their requirements is this counterpart that every foundation that receives support should be able to contribute about 50% back into the project. So this is how we're also working because we're funded by the Inter-American Foundation. But this does not have to be cash contributions. This includes the value of the time of any staff member that is involved, the value of the time of any community member that's involved, the value of the space that you're using, the value of materials that you're promoting. If you have local translators, the value of their services, okay? So you can use a lot of these in-kind values as your counterpart.
Perfect, thank you.
And when you look at it that way, your foundations are going to contribute a lot more, I think, than the $4,000. I really wouldn't worry about that. And we're happy to help you think about how to define in-kind counterparts. In Spanish, it's called contrapartida. And the en especia is the in-kind, right? Contributions that you have.
Thank you, Lisa.
So that's what we're thinking when we're asking you to provide a counterpart value. It's really just an estimation of who do we want to get involved? What's the value of everybody's time? And to really name that's a valid counterpart. Kelly, did you have a question? No, okay. Any other questions about the application? Again, it's very important that if you have a partner that you're working together on the application, it should be one application for both organizations together.
I have another doubt. The organization or the foundation that are interested in participate are the only one that are filling out the document, the Excel document, or is that document is going to be sent to other foundation? No, okay.
No.
Just to see if we had
not
to.
unless I get a separate email from a different foundation saying that they're interested, then I would share it. But otherwise, well, it's not only for the people on this call. Anybody who has received the email with the call for projects has a link to this document.
All right.
So ideally, I mean, it was sent out to over 200 organizations.
All right, then. Okay.
I'm hoping that more will fill it in. I wouldn't wait till the last minute, though.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Also, if you have met an organization through CCA at one of our in-person meetings or online sessions, and you know the organization or you remember the name of the person, but don't have their contact information, I'm happy to connect you. But only if they're already within CCA. I cannot contact you to just any foundation in another country. From Robson, just to confirm, $4,000 is for both organizations. Yes, between the two. So 2,000 to one, 2,000 to another, or however you decide to split that. We want more than one person traveling from each foundation. And the reason for that is that it's very important that this is institutional learning and not individual, only individual learning. So in some cases where travel is very, very expensive, it might have to be just one visit, but you can decide that. Is that helpful? Okay. Anyone else? So if there aren't any more questions, we can go ahead and leave this call. Really excited to have you get involved in this project, hopefully other future projects with CCA. We really want to support you and support your work, and encourage you with every time that you meet together with other foundations. Always be thinking about this future possibility of learning exchanges. It's funding that we will be looking for all the time because we want to support you in that. So good luck and let me know if you have any questions. I will send an email after this call to all of you.
Thank you very much.